The BRICS summit of 2024, held in Kazan, Russia, was unlike any before it. With an expanded BRICS Plus group now including countries like Egypt, Ethiopia, the UAE, and Iran, the bloc is making waves on the global stage. Once dismissed by Western critics as an inconsequential group, BRICS has now become a force to be reckoned with, and Russia in particular is pushing hard for this group to take significant action against what it perceives as Western dominance in global finance, especially through the US dollar. Let's start by understanding how BRICS has come this far and why this 2024 summit was so important. The term BRIC was originally coined back in 2001 by a Goldman Sachs economist to describe the rising influence of four major emerging economies: Brazil, Russia, India, and China. South Africa later joined in 2010, turning BRIC into BRICS. Over the years, BRICS has grown in influence, representing nearly 45% of the world's population and 35% of the global economy today. This is not just a grouping of random nations. It's a bloc that holds significant sway over resources, trade, and political power. However, what truly sets this 2024 summit apart is the significant expansion of BRICS Plus, which now includes more countries from the global south, further strengthening the group's influence. Russia has played a pivotal role in this year's summit, especially President Vladimir Putin, who is pushing hard for BRICS to not just remain a forum for economic cooperation, but to actively challenge Western financial dominance. One of the main points on the agenda in Kazan was the creation of an alternative payment system to the US dollar. Russia, still reeling from sanctions imposed by Western countries after the Ukraine invasion, has been vocal about the weaponization of the dollar. According to Putin, the US dollar is not just a currency. It's a tool for the US to enforce political objectives and punish countries that don't align with its policies. At this year's summit, the idea of a new BRICS currency was floated again. This isn't a new conversation. It's been brewing for years. But in 2024, the urgency is higher than ever. Putin and Xi Jinping in particular see this as a necessary step to shield their economies from Western sanctions and build a financial ecosystem independent of US influence. But what does this new currency mean? How realistic is it? The proposed currency would likely be backed by a basket of commodities like gold, oil, and other critical resources that BRICS countries control. The BRICS nations are major producers of key global resources. Russia is a top oil exporter, China dominates in rare earth minerals, Brazil is a powerhouse in agriculture, and South Africa is rich in precious metals. The idea is to create a currency that reflects the true economic weight of these nations, which would reduce reliance on the US dollar for international trade. If implemented, this currency could be a game changer. It could revolutionize international payments, making it easier for BRICS nations to trade with each other without worrying about exchange rates or sanctions tied to the dollar. Another significant development from the summit was the formal introduction of BRICS Pay, an alternative payment system to SWIFT, the global system used for international money transfers. SWIFT is heavily influenced by Western financial institutions, and Russia in particular has been cut off from it due to sanctions. BRICS Pay aims to facilitate trade among member countries and reduce reliance on Western-controlled financial systems. It's not just about challenging the dollar, it's about creating an entirely new financial infrastructure that could bypass the restrictions placed on them by Western powers. One fascinating element in this financial shift is the exploration of blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies as potential backbones for this new payment system. While this is still in the early stages of discussion, it represents a broader ambition within BRICS to modernize financial transactions and create systems that are more inclusive, efficient, and resistant to external pressures like sanctions. Before we dive deeper into the geopolitical implications, if you're finding this discussion valuable, please consider hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this video with your friends. It helps us grow and bring you more in-depth analysis on important global topics like this. One of the key messages from the BRICS summit this year was the idea of a multipolar world. A world where power is not concentrated in the hands of a few Western countries, but is distributed more evenly among major global players like China, Russia, and India. During the summit, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping held significant discussions, not just about the new currency, but also about global stability, the war in Ukraine, and how to position BRICS as a counterbalance to the West. The meeting between Xi and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was another important moment, as these two leaders have not held formal talks in 5 years due to ongoing tensions between their countries. For Russia and China, BRICS represents a platform to demonstrate their influence in global affairs. They have been pushing for reforms in international institutions like the United Nations and the International Monetary Fund, IMF, which are still dominated by Western powers. Both countries want more equitable representation for developing countries and a reduction in the West's ability to shape global governance unilaterally. Of course, no major summit like this could ignore the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and the rising tensions in the Middle East. The BRICS leaders, while united in their desire to reduce Western influence, differ on how to handle specific conflicts. During the summit, Putin and Xi discussed Ukraine behind closed doors, while Modi publicly expressed his desire for peace. This shows the delicate balancing act within BRICS, especially with India, which maintains strong relationships with the West while also being a key BRICS member. The Kazan Declaration, issued at the end of the summit, emphasized peaceful resolutions to international conflicts. It called for a ceasefire in Ukraine, as well as in Gaza and Lebanon, showing BRICS's intention to play a role in resolving major global crises through dialogue and diplomacy. One of the most significant changes to BRICS in recent years has been the inclusion of new members, forming what is now called BRICS Plus. The addition of countries like Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE expands the group's reach, making it a more formidable bloc. BRICS is positioning itself as a voice for the global South, for countries that feel marginalized by Western powers and global institutions. By expanding its membership, BRICS is not only increasing its political and economic weight, but also enhancing its legitimacy as a representative of the developing world. This expansion also gives BRICS an even greater influence over global resources. For example, BRICS Plus now controls around 45% of the world's oil production capacity. This allows the group to potentially challenge other powerful organizations like OPEC and to reshape the global oil market to their advantage. However, BRICS is not without its challenges. One of the biggest issues is internal division. While Russia and China are pushing for rapid expansion and stronger geopolitical action, countries like India are more cautious. India, in particular, maintains strong ties with the West and is not interested in turning BRICS into an outright anti-Western alliance. Another challenge is economic disparity. China's economy dwarfs those of the other BRICS nations, and this imbalance has caused friction. Some members are concerned that China's dominance within BRICS could skew the group's agenda in Beijing's favor. Moreover, the group faces political differences. For example, China and India have an ongoing border dispute, and the inclusion of new members like Iran brings in more potential for conflict within the bloc. Despite these challenges, the BRICS nations are pushing forward with their agenda of economic decoupling from the West, and the creation of alternative financial systems remains a top priority. As we look ahead, it's clear that BRICS is becoming a major player in global geopolitics. With Russia and China leading the charge, the group is determined to create a new world order, one that challenges the dominance of Western powers and offers an alternative path for developing countries. The creation of a new BRICS currency and payment systems like BRICS Pay could potentially upend the global financial system as we know it. While it's still too early to say how successful these initiatives will be, The fact that they're even being seriously discussed at the highest levels of global diplomacy signals a massive shift in power. As the world moves toward a more multipolar order, BRICS will play a crucial role in shaping what that future looks like. Whether it's through financial innovation, political influence, or conflict resolution, this bloc is no longer content with being an alternative to Western models. It wants to be a driving force in its own right. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the 2024 BRICS Summit. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay updated on more global issues and geopolitical developments, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with others who might be interested. See you in the next video.